Hello, I'm Chris Athanas. I'm a KMP developer, and I'm fixing my camera there a little bit. Tech support's coming out Tuesday. Close up that bad boy. I hope. You never know. All right, I'm gonna be reacting to Y Combinator today. Should your startup or Bootstrap? Should your start Bootstrap or raise venture capital? Now these guys, I think, are a little bit clowny, and in a zero interest rate environment where they came from and where they grew up, their stuff worked. But that's not happening anymore. Zero interest rate, what's it called? Zero interest rate policy. That's over for the rest of the decade. We're not going to see any of that. So it's the time to do the micro, to niche down and do a MicroMonopoly using all the latest AI assisted tools and KMP, unified one platform, Kotlin multi-platform, one platform. One language, one set of libraries for the front end, for the back end. The whole thing. Upgrade it, scale it, runs on Java, runs on JVM, easy to install, easy to maintain, lots of tools available, lots of libraries. Don't have to worry about it. Battle hardened. Keep going. Let's go.
I would watch his life on Facebook and be like, this is amazing. He traveled the world. He got married. He had kids. I'm like, am I the idiot? And like, the evidence was like, quite possibly, Michael. Quite possibly. This is Dalton plus Michael, and today we're going to talk about, should you bootstrap or should you start a VC-backed company? This is like a confusingly controversial topic. Yeah, I'm not really sure why it's controversial.
Well, it's controversial because people want to try and sidestep having to do work. They think they get the money and that's it. They're set. It's like they think they can. They think the money is going to solve it for them. And in the short term, when you're young and you're scrappy, or you have a new idea and you know this is going to cost money, you don't have it. You think that's the barrier. It's not the barrier. And that's the thing that these guys are like, what do you mean? Why would people think? It's like, yeah, you're talking about giving people millions of dollars who have maybe seen $5,000 max in their entire life, right? So these guys are a little bit out of touch, but let's get going.
One of those sort of one-sided things where a lot of people don't care about the topic versus people that care a lot.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of people that strongly identify and are really excited about bootstrapping,
yeah,
that are very like fired up about this. Yeah. And there's a lot of people that this just isn't a topic that comes up much.
Yeah.
I think it's some people just are out for the grift, and other people see, I want to make this a long-term thing where, I get to see the fruits of my labors, and I proved that my ideas are actually the thing that works. I'm proved to other people versus I just got the deal. I was able to lie enough and bamboozle enough to get somebody to write me a check, and I'm not really planning on doing anything with it.
The place we should start, I think, is that the vast majority of businesses should not raise venture capital. And I'll extend that point. Venture capital is not interested in investing. Yeah. In the vast majority of businesses. So
right. So that's been the case in the past for these, the Web 2.0, 16 languages, 25,000 different frameworks, all coming a new one this week. Oh, the 50 different things, all just these big tech companies. No, we do it better. No, we do it better. That's all for big tech company stuff. That's all coming to an end. That was actually viable in a zero interest rate environment, but it's not viable anymore. So that's all coming to an end, and it's now making these businesses that these VCs will never even think about investing in, makes it possible to explore, is there a market here? My costs now been reduced by 1/10 the price. Can I go into a market and see if there's any value here, to see if I can create a business from here, like create a niche that could grow into something else with a small number of people, not 25 people where you have to raise VC to even get that thing off the ground. How about 3 people working part-time until they with the test, with the market testing before you even start writing code, and you can do that part-time. Like, there's no rush to do these micro-monopolies. Most people aren't even going to, these companies aren't even, most of this isn't even on people's radar, like that it's even possible to do this because they haven't seen the tools. They've been like, oh my God, React 14.6. I got to do that, all the things. Oh, it's not a UI library. It's not a library. It's a framework now. It's like, okay, well, what did that change? Then it's like, okay, now you're locked into Facebook's cadence. It's like, no, there are other things happening that are been not, they just haven't publicized what this opportunity is. I think there's a lot of people in the JetBrains are still trying to point towards the big tech people. It's like, no. Go niche down. There's way more people here niche that are on the bottom, like, want to come up, than how at the top that want to go down.
One of the things I think founders get really screwed up on is that VCs have become a little bit more marketing-y, right? Talking to people, and they might be confused well, I want to start a restaurant. VCs don't want to fund your restaurant.
Yes. Well, I think another thing that's confusing.
But that's the thing is like this. You may be able to do a restaurant now with this MicroMonopoly. You might be able to have a platform that does a restaurant, just one restaurant. Maybe that's a thing you could do now.
As a side note, is a lot of the stuff on Shark Tank.
I
would argue is not venture capital backable.
I agree. Shark Tank is so people talk about Shark Tank. Oh, you're gonna do this to your business, but it's like this is all they know. They see this side of this. That's pure entertainment stuff. A lot of stuff's consumer stuff that's really like, unless you have massive distribution and scale and willing to deal with competitors. Come on.
A lot of the stuff that I see on the television show, you would never in a million years be able to raise VC from it. And so I think you watch Shark Tank and you think that is reality.
It's not this industry. So I think that that's the first thing, is that if you're starting a business that can appear on Shark Tank, for the most part, you probably shouldn't raise venture capital. But I think there's actually like a deeper thing here, which is that let's say you want to start a startup business. You don't have to raise venture capital either.
Correct.
And so this is like, I was shocked these guys say this, because these are all about getting them in the YC company or cohort, blah, 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 get them 12% of their business or whatever the hell it is, and just present to their group of investors and, collect the big good. So I was surprised these guys even talking about this bootstrapping. Let's keep going.
And I'll say the same thing. I don't believe venture capitalists want to invest in all software businesses. And I don't believe all software founders should raise venture capital.
Yep.
So
let's talk about them. Yeah. I think what's really going on is
that was an amazingly honest take. That's reality.
I think if you looked at how many businesses are started every year, what percentage of those are venture funded?
Cool.
We could ask ChatGPT, but I would guess definitely single digits, if not less than 1%.
Yes.
And so
way less than 1%. VCs, they want to see 1,000x potential, and that's why they kind of fall in the zero interest rate environment. They are falling for the hype wave because they weren't getting paid any other way, so they had to get this 1,000x to make it worthwhile, to make their portfolio work. So they were only interested in things that were going to be a huge, massive monopoly worth, $1 trillion over 10 years, whatever. So they're not interested in micromonopolies. They're not interested. So when people go with these ideas, they might actually be good ideas. If it's not 1,000x $1 billion thing at the end of it, you're not gonna get funded. But there's a new opportunity. If you go down from $1 trillion from a billion, go down from $1 billion, go down to $1 million. How about a couple million? Let's do a couple million. I mean, you can do it your own way. You don't have to have these crazy bosses with these radical deadlines. It doesn't have to be as fast. It just has to be better and good. It has to be better, right? It has to be better than what else is available in some way, shape, or form for your niche.
Look at businesses that are started in the world.
Yes.
It is like a weird outlier, freak occurrence that is a VC-funded business.
Very
and so,
outlier.
but I think if you're just consuming content, you're watching media, you're watching YouTube,
Twitter,
you don't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay. And venture capital as a product is specifically for investing in something where their investment could be worth at least 100 times more, if not 1,000 times more.
Yeah.
And so trying to put that jet fuel into something that isn't going to grow to be big, everyone is going to be sad and lose.
Yeah.
And so
Right. So it's either 1,000x or zero. And there's always all these people scrambling for that 1,000x, right? They're all scrambling for the 1,000x, but there's a lot of stuff that's 10x, 20x. But to access that opportunity, that 20x opportunity, you had to use all these crazy 15 different languages and back end and front end, and all these different teams, and all these different. No, you can get rid of all that stuff with KMP, right? You have one back end, one front end, or one back end, or one front end that does it all to get the MVP off the ground. If you go to my How to Program from the Ground Up course, I go over how to structure code to be scaled and makes sense to people coming on board. If you have one language, one set of libraries, one UI toolkit, if the front end and back end is the one thing, everyone can onboard a lot easier, and you don't have to have these huge teams with this weird sprint cadence, agile, crazy, goofy, safe. What is that stuff? We have tasks that need to be done, and then the communication, right? So the communication between all those teams just gets nuts, man. Everybody wants to try the newest, latest, greatest thing that came up from some big tech company. That we have the best web component thing ever. We got the newest, latest, greatest React feature 17.20.2. You have to rewrite your entire app from scratch because we've completely rethought the way we're doing things. The old way is stupid. Now the best way is the way it should have been done the whole way. And then they do it again and again and again. It's like, yeah, you're going to have a big company to deal with all that stuff. But if you don't have that, if you eliminate that stuff, one language, one set of tools, one IDE, it kind of cuts down a lot of that noise, and you could get a lot of stuff done with just one person. And you don't have to have 1,000x. You can do 10x.
You shouldn't do it.
The
But
founder and the investor. No one's going to, and the user. No one wins.
And so again, like, I don't think that there's this push that I can see from investors to try to convince people to raise VC money for something that has like no chance of growing like that. It just doesn't make sense for anybody. Okay.
I'll go a step further. I think the whole argument is fake news, right? I don't think this is a real argument, right? I don't think that anyone thinks it's more moral or good or right to start a VC-backed company or a non-VC backed company. I don't think this is an actual debate.
Yeah.
I think that like starting a VC-backed company, really hard. Not the best way to get rich. Not the best way.
Relatively small number. Like the numbers are not huge.
Not a good path. Like I always like to equate it to like athletics. It's like getting into the NBA is really hard. Like like the best path to have a good career is to be like, oh, I'll just make the NBA.
Yeah, that's simple, right?
Yeah, it's like,
right. So you go to the NBA, top. That's the thing you see promoted, everything. Because they're spending billions of dollars to make sure you see it, right? But there's minor leagues that are pretty fun to play. You're playing baseball. You're running around the games. You're not going to be making $1 billion, but you could make 100,000. You know, I'm not. I don't know baseball. I don't know sports, but that's just the analogy, right? Let's do the analogy. Don't spurg out. Okay. The analogy is you're not trying to play NBA baseball. You want to go to a local league where you can maybe dominate.
40 to 50 guys, I'll just be one of those guys, and then game on, right? They recruit from all around the world. I live in the world.
Yeah, very straightforward. I like that.
Yeah, no. So this is not the only way to get rich. Let's take a further step. Most people who are rich did not raise venture capital dollars.
That's right.
Did not start
real
companies.
estate investing, stock market investing, being lawyers, being doctors. Again, go look up the numbers.
Investors. Yeah, there's so many people, right? So this is not the only way to get rich. I think the other thing that's funny is like there is no one trying to force you or cajole you into starting a VC-backed company. Like if you
you're actually being dissuaded from it. So this whole thing about doing the VCs, I mean, in a zero interest rate environment, there was a hell of a lot of these guys that were trying to look for money to do 1,000x, and it happened to coincide with a tech boom that was taking off as well, because we had some breakthroughs with speed and with mobile connectivity, so more people on the screen. And then we had the Roni, which made people at home, so they had more demand for these things. They thought that demand would last forever. They didn't realize it's like, hey, by the way, the Roni will be going away, and the zero interest rate will be going away. But they didn't care, right? They just want to make their sales numbers.
If you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Correct.
It's also a decision that you can revisit. If you don't want to start a VC-backed company now, but like your Bootstrap product starts doing well and you want to do it in the future, great, you can.
Okay, I agree with that. So if you do finally somehow stumble across a 1,000x opportunity somewhere, some way, and you need to accelerate it, and you want to exploit it, maybe VC makes sense then. But even then, man, if you can somehow get your own funding together, your own funding source together, maybe your crowd will help fund it, or people in the people you've been talking to that could do it. That's way better, man. Way better. Because these VC are only interested in money. And if you don't pay, they'll get their pound of flesh out of you. And it won't be fun. It won't be nice either. Remember, these guys aren't really, some of them are tech. Like some of the VC people are tech. Like these guys are kind of techie. But a lot of VCs are not. They are talking to their oil buddies and their real estate buddies. And they're trying to do better than them. And that's the game they're playing, is numbers, right? How many people you got, how many things you got, how many pokes in the fire. Not what tech you're working on. It's all buzzwords. They don't even know what that shit is. They don't even know what that shit is. They don't care either. All they care about is the results. So that's what happens when you get involved with a VC, is you're getting involved with those folks. And they don't care about your business. They don't care about your vision. They don't even give a shit. Most of them don't give a shit. It's like, are you going to make 1,000x in 3 years or not? And if you can show me a way to get there, great. Because I saw this guy over here, he did it, and this guy over here, he did it, and this guy over here, he did it. Can you do it? And of course, they're going to say, yes, we can do it. It's like, well, what are you going to say? No? You get your money taken away? Those are the games you start playing. You're not serving the customer. You're serving the VC, right? You got your eye on the next round, as opposed to how can you serve your market better and maybe expand it somehow. Or expand an offering, or go into another niche nearby that you didn't see because you didn't know it was there until you got into this one. That kind of stuff.
And there's no one who's going to say, no, you said you were bootstrapped on Twitter. I will not give you money. Like, no. I'll get another truth. Empirically, none of the trillion-dollar software companies are bootstrapped with no VC dollars ever.
Yeah.
So if someone's telling you can make a $1 trillion company, maybe you can.
So you people see this trillion, it's like, oh, I want to be a trillionaire. I want to be a trillionaire. It's like, yeah, there's a lot that goes along with that. And honestly, that's even crazier than the NBA story. It's like you're gonna be an owner of an NBA or owner of the NBA. Oh.
Just no one's ever done it.
Yeah.
You start small. Maybe you'll get there one day. But if you're gonna try and jump to the top, you're never gonna get there. It's just too big of a leap. But if you walk the stairs up, maybe you get to the top of that building. No, everyone wants to do the Superman leap. I'm Superman. Woo! It's like, well, you can walk to the top. It may take you a little longer, but at least your legs will be stronger when you get up there, and you'll be able to stand on your own.
I'll say fact-based.
And again, like to look at the numbers, even if you look at software companies,
Yeah.
even if you look at iPhone apps, if you actually did an audit of the App Store and you said what percentage of the apps in the App Store are VC backed, it is tiny. But if you said what percentage of dollars that are spent in mobile apps go into VC backed companies, I think that's
very
right, because dollars are going into Amazon and eBay and like all that kind of stuff, right?
Yes. And by the way, I want to be clear. Neither of us are saying you should want to make one of those companies.
Yes.
Like, or you
that should
want
come from inside of you,
exactly,
not from YouTube.
No.
Right.
Like, I actually kind of try to convince people not to. It's
Well,
like,
it is because if you need to be talked into it, that's a bad sign.
Yeah, so I like to talk about white socks. Yeah. So I think the other thing is that no one is trying to say in our industry that if you make a great software product that allows you to make enough money to live a good life and it's not VC backed, that you haven't won. You won.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, you won. You won. A lot of people don't realize they've won when they've won. So I did my own startup. I bootstrapped it, completely bootstrapped from the ground up, from customer sales. That was brutal. But anyway, it was mine completely, and I got to do whatever I wanted with it. And there's a lot to be said about having your own thing. And but it's brutal getting there. It took a lot of tries. It took many years of tries of all kinds. I wrote all kinds of crazy apps, all kinds of crazy stuff. But I finally found one after I listened to my customers. By the way, I was being very, very sassy and thinking I knew everything. All I had to do was listen to my customers, and they told me what they wanted. And if I give it to them in the way they liked it, they gave me more money.
I had a friend who made one of these companies. You might have used his product. His product generated about $30,000 to $50,000 a month and took about 7 to 10 hours a month of maintenance. Mm-hmm. The entire time I was working on my startup, he was living life. Like, I would watch his life on Facebook and be like, this is amazing. He traveled the world. He got married. He had kids. I'm like, he won. Like, that's like good for him. Like, there's no like
again, this is the one-sided thing. Is that we're like great.
Yes.
Like, we're like high-fiving that's dream
amazing.
Versus that there's this two-sided battle.
97% of the time I was watching that Facebook, I was like, am I the idiot? And like, the evidence was like,
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. There's no guarantee these startup companies are going to go anywhere. Most of them don't. Most of the ones I worked at fail hard. A lot of it has to do with just not paying attention to your customer, man. Or getting too deeply involved with these VC and then taking on people who just blew sunshine up your ass. That's very common.
Quite possibly, Michael.
Because the money's kind of like heroin. It makes some people go a little crazy. Some people can handle it, but some people go a little crazy with it. And they start hiring all over the place, thinking that everyone kind of knows what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on for your business. And especially if you don't have a customer you're actually talking to and make that the focus, people will go all half-cocked and do all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, I've just seen just so much weird stuff, a lot of hurt feelings. Yeah.
Quite possibly.
Yes. And he's still doing great, right? And so, like, this is really clear. It's like building a great small business, small software.
Even the term small bothers people. It's just non-venture backed.
Yeah, non-venture
it can be big.
Yeah,
non-venture backed.
You're making millions and millions of dollars. Yes, totally fine. I think the other thing that's kind of maybe a dirty kind of underbelly here is who is spurning this argument? Like, who's incentivized for this to be a big issue?
Yeah, I think that this has been just like a topic that gets a lot of engagement online. Yeah. And so, if you want to get people agitated about something, this is a pretty good topic. And then you can use it to promote stuff. And so, I'm not going to name names, but I can think of folks over the
like these guys are, by the way.
years that are
like I am.
Like kind of built a following around encouraging people to do this. And to the extent it is helpful and more people are improving their lives doing it, that's great.
Yes.
But there's a little bit of like creating a fake controversy
and then monetizing it.
A little bit. And so
I mean, there is controversy around this because a lot of software devs, they go into it, they think that the only way they're going to get their thing going is if it's huge, right? If it starts off huge, right? Because that's all I've seen, because that's all I see is the huge stuff. They don't pay attention to the little stuff. The little guys aren't going to be big time promoting, yelling, ah! I mean, you're seeing a little bit of it now, But when I started, it wasn't even a thing. It was just like, could you make money on writing software somehow? Like, it wasn't even a word for it. I didn't even call it Bootstrap. It was like, oh, it was just I made money and I don't want to go back and work for another company for a while and just see making money. It was kind of like that. I was doing shareware. It was just random checks coming in. All of a sudden, I got one that people really liked, and I just set the model up that made it most sense for people that I could work with. I could work part-time on this thing while I was still doing my day job.
Well, maybe people may have this question watching this video. Michael, why should I apply to YC? Like, why should I do venture? You guys just did a great job of explaining why not to do it. Well, why should I do venture?
So I think that there are some businesses where you actually need money up front.
Yes.
And if you need money up front and you're building a software business, the venture capital industry can help you get money up front. If you don't need it, don't take it.
Yes.
These businesses are very few and far between. They do exist, but they're very few and far between. There's a lot more low-hanging fruit that does not require VC that you could probably even move up and get even a better leveraging position by doing a proof of concept or an MVP or something using KMP tools, and then go approach a VC. It's like, look, we're already addressing this problem, and we want to do more. Or this is kind of how we're going to do it. This is the approach we're going to take. Maybe that would make sense, but I would say just in general, try to avoid the VC. First of all, it's pretty rare now because the zero interest rate environment's over, so there's not going to be a lot of them around. And it's just a lot of pain in the ass, man. Seriously, like hunting them down, doing the meetings. You could be building your business and addressing a market with the tools directly, and then have them come to you, right? Okay.
I think that what's so interesting about this is that there aren't many other good mechanisms. If you need millions of dollars or $10 million to get your company to break even, there aren't other mechanisms in our economy to give that to you.
Well, let's use the example of Google. I don't know, just because famous, one of the most valuable companies in the world.
And there's a lot of things that don't require that you can do on your own. A lot of people are scared. I need to be like seen as a major player. Why? Have you hung around these people? Hang around these people. It's like, you don't really want to be a major player. You just want to make some money, live your life, do your thing. See your vision of the world out in the world. Man, getting the approval of these people. I see a lot of that. It's like, I want to get the approval of these. You really don't. You really don't. If you knew what these guys were, how snaky they were, and how much they will totally ream you one was 6 ways a Sunday, you don't want to get involved with these people if you can get away with it. Seriously, find your own people.
Yeah. I don't know how you could have bootstrapped that. And so again, maybe the audience will say, well, I don't want to build Google. Great. No one is saying you have to build Google.
But if Google wants to build Google,
but if the founders of Google wanted to build Google, it doesn't seem mathematically possible. There's no route they could have done it.
No bank
raising money. There's no loans they could have gotten to buy the servers and do the things they did.
No.
And so
we should just be thinking about VC as enabling incremental entrepreneurship that wouldn't be around otherwise.
Yep.
Not as cannibalizing anything. Like, it's just enabling that incremental founder. I think the other thing.
I mean, there were certain technologies, certain things you needed a bunch of hardware to do at the time that you could just rent now. So that was like a technical breakthroughs that were happening. The speed of the processors was increasing. We had more network things. We had to be more people on the web. So there was like a breakthrough time. And this they really thought this AI thing was going to be the next breakthrough, and it's just not turning out to be that way. So I feel it's this MicroMonopoly stuff that's going to be the next breakthrough. All these tiny, like millions of these little companies coming up, popping up, and taking on the people and creating more loyalty with people locally that were being just run through with these big tech giants.
Thing is, you have to remember, if you want to raise a lot of money, but you can't explain to the investor why you might IPO and give them a lot of money back, then you can't raise VC. We want to be explicit. Like, it is a business transaction. It's not a faith transaction. Correct. It is. I give you money now. You give me a lot more money later, or at least.
Yeah. See, that's where the VC people that were like, they think they're just gonna get free money, and like it's just like here you go. No, there's a lot attached to it, and you don't get to do it at your pace anymore, right? You're doing it at their pace, and they want their money, and they're gonna be on your ass, and they're gonna make sure that, and if you don't have the right answers and can deal with their huge egos, you're gonna have a real hard time. Like all the founders, man, they all complain about it. Take their advice. Pay attention. Free money is not free.
You try really hard to, and if you can try really hard, but the result can't be a lot of money, I shouldn't logically give you money now. Not because I don't like you, or because you're not a great person, or these users you're trying to serve aren't great. It's just because it's not a good business transaction. It's literally nothing personal.
Right. That's the thing too. It's like these people want their money because it's not personal, right? You might be, it's your vision, your baby. Oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing. I want to see this in the world and all that stuff. they don't give a fuck.
I think sometimes founders kind of are very confused when VCs say no.
Well, it's because, again, if we're trying to stoke outrage,
let's stoke some outrage.
You point at something silly that raised a lot of money.
Yes.
The most extreme silly thing in the world.
No. You always pointed Juicero.
I mean, right? Or WeWork, whatever. Like you point to something that is like on face silly, and then you say, well, if they funded that, why won't they fund my social network for dogs?
Yes.
And so it causes a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
Do your social network for dogs. Do it. You're going to find out there's nothing there. There's a reason why they weren't going to invest in your stuff. But maybe it'll work in your town, in your area, in your zone, in your club, with your people that you know, because you're super into dogs already. Maybe you're just a massive dog trainer and you want to add yourself to the dog. That makes sense, right? That's when a social network for dogs makes sense. If you are augmenting it with some niche that you're already exploiting somehow, that you know super well, because the cost just got lowered. You don't need a $10 million to do that. You can do it for $20,000, $30,000. Right?
And I understand, I relate, but don't fall for the rage pill. Don't let yourself get enraged by obvious engagement bait, which is to cherry pick the craziest, silliest thing and use that to get all worked up. And
that's some Spurgy, Asperger's, fucking hyper nerd. Like, I think this mathematically, he should have. My idea was 22.4% better than the other one. And stop.
Take that personally, like that somehow hurt you, like you were hurt by that thing over there.
Yeah, because these guys they want to be in the club. You understand the way you get in the club is you force your fucking way in. You don't ask permission. You force your way. Do you think Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak asked permission? Can we please get our computer in the market? No, they built it and showed up. Here it is. Do you want to buy one or not? There was no guarantees that theirs was going to win either. There was a bunch of other ones, a whole bunch of them. But they kind of listened with Steve Jobs. He listened to the customers, and he also had the business. Like, oh, most people don't want this big, complicated, crazy 25,000 precision points. They don't want that. Most people don't want that. The early adopter nerds want that. Yes, that's a niche, right? And then there's this other big group that don't give a shit about any of that stuff. They just want their music to play on their headset. And they don't care about all the digits, widgets. They just want the music to play, right? So there's market segments.
Well, and what's so funny is like you are actually clued in on the real truth, which is that they screwed up. Someone messed up. Like,
yeah, that's really what happened. It's not that, they funded that one, they fund my crazy, stupid, dumb idea. It's because it was a dumb idea and someone paid money for it because they made a bad decision, man. Sorry. Just because they made a bad decision over there doesn't mean they get to make a bad decision with you. Come on, we learn. We upgrade, listen, pay attention. And some people just like to spend money on silly things, man. This world is not rational. Edward Bernays, we're not rational good beings. We are emotional beings. We react emotionally and then backwards rationalize how we got to the decision that wasn't emotional. That's what humans do. We trick ourselves.
You're right. They shouldn't have gotten that money. Like you nailed it. That person who funded that company is an idiot and should exactly right. But like, hey, that doesn't mean we should.
All bets are off.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, this dumb thing happened. Therefore, up is down. Like forget everything we know.
Yes.
That doesn't follow. That logic doesn't make sense.
That person should probably be spoken to about their investment strategy. So yeah, so just understand that game. And I have to be honest, like, I like games like this. Like, I don't like games where you have to like convince people to like you or to align with your views. Those are games that are way harder to play. I like games where it's like, hey, if I want to serve this customer and you can be a good legal partner to me and I give you money and you give me legal services, you can be a good funding partner for me. I give you a check on my company, you give me cash, right? If you can be a good partner to me, a simple to understand partner to me so that I can spend my time working with my customer, that's what I want. Yeah.
And really the focus is that you spend your time dealing with the customer, trying to serve them best, figuring out their needs better than anybody else, and making sure they pay you for it. Not just saying, oh yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, but get them to pay for it. That's okay, so I'm gonna have to do a video about how you validate your ideas for MicroMonopoly ideas. How to validate them before you build anything, so you don't have to spend money on stuff that nobody will buy anyway. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be nice to know what you're supposed to build before you build it? Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, the customer's complicated enough. Jesus, the customer's complicated enough. I like the idea of
the customer's complicated. That's your barrier to entry. There's your moat. That your customer, your niche customer, is complicated, and you're gonna figure out what makes him tick because you're into it too, right? You're not going to a niche you're not into or interested in serving. Why would you serve? Why would you spend all your time and energy, your life energy on something you're not kind of interested in. And man, making stuff for people that they actually like and use is super fun, by the way. And if you can see the direct results of your work, even more. It's like there is this aspect that's more than money about for certain people like me that want to, I want to help people and they want to see their vision in the world, right? Well, you're going to have to not try and get that from the big tech companies. That's a lot of people have done that, and they get crashed against the rocks, and then Google took my idea, and they didn't make it into a big thing, and they did all the deprecated services. It's like, come on, but all those people still use those. There was millions of users on those things, but it wasn't good enough for Google, right? It wasn't big enough for Google, but it could be big enough for you.
The money people are like, so if I give you this money, maybe you want money back? Yes? Okay, we're good. Okay, we're good. All right, end of conversation. I give you money, you don't give me any money back? No good. Come back when this is out that way. Hopefully, this helps clear up the debate, but I secretly hope this, doesn't at all, because this is so silly. I hope we get somehow flame word from this. Anyways.
No, it's not silly. It's actually quite appropriate and a good thing to talk about because. Of course, those guys are going to try and push the VC angle because they have a whole group of VC people who want to get access to these things. But their model just changed because the zero interest rate stuff. There's not as many people wanting to throw bad money after these things, but there are actual still customers who have money that you can serve. You just have to find them, figure out who they are, and give them what they want. Give me a like and subscribe. That's what I want. I'll talk to you soon.